TruthFunders Network podcast, a weekly audio safari that features the newest in paranormal discoveries, while highlighting the latest and not to be missed TruthFunder.com projects. For truth seekers and true believers, this week's TruthFunders Network podcast starts now.
Greetings, bonjour, hola, welcome, and hello. This is the TruthFunders Network Radio Live program, episode number 1. My name is Art Webb. I'm your host for this weekly look at TruthFunders.com and everything that is the paranormal, metaphysical, universal, and good. It's about the light here. This is a community, interactive-oriented live radio show for you, the TruthFunders Network community, and everyone else that happens to be tuned in, listening live to us on IRN this evening. Thanks again for tuning in. I have the creator of TruthFunders.com with me. His name is Mark Schwartz, and a lot of people have no idea what the hell TruthFunders.com is or why I'm even talking about this craziness. Mark, hi.
Hey, how you doing, Art? Okay, first of all, I have to say we are just thrown into this right now, and we're having a good time.
I literally feel like I'm at a laundromat, and somebody threw me in the dryer on the the dry cycle and hit on, and we're just rumbling around right now, going in circles. So this might be a little rough, but we'll get through it.
But it's great. No, it's great. I mean, live radio is the place to be, and I am just a huge believer in the change of what's happening right now with terrestrial radio and how people are moving over to the digital space and digital radio because they can actually get what they want. Like the new Teslas that are coming out, all those cars are programmed with digital dashboards, and you have TuneIn there, you have different apps, but it's hard to find the AM FM dial. So this is a what I'm really excited about is being a part of this new genre of disruption that's happening in society, and it's a great tool. It's a great tool for people like us trying to find the truth, to be able to communicate with each other and talk with each other. And talk with the world at the same time, because never before in the history were you able to do something like this.
Well, let's tell a little bit of your story and my story and why it is we're on here speaking live this evening or morning or afternoon, wherever it is you're listening. It's a global community. TruthFunders, in essence, is a brand new website that just launched within the last month or so, created and owned by you, that is specifically driven crowdsourcing towards the paranormal and the metaphysical and everything that is sort of fringe, that is so widely interested in by so many people, but also so widely avoided in discussion by the mass public. And I think that I would like to first and foremost just introduce people to the website and the story behind it and kind of talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So a little bit about myself. So I'm the CEO of TruthFunders.com. And you guys, if you're out there right now, go check it out, TruthFunders.com. And it's a brand new, technically powerful crowdfunding platform. And it's specifically designed to fund paranormal projects like films, books, research and expeditions that people are trying to do, create groups of that are ghost hunting and searching for ghosts in the paranormal world, inventions, basically anything that has to do with the unknown. We want to help crowdfund. There is a lot of other platforms that are out there that are more general. I don't want to necessarily mention them on air, but I will. There's places like a Kickstarter and Indiegogo, which are fantastic platforms. But when it comes to the paranormal, it's not a great place to launch your project. I see people creating projects all the time on different bigger crowdfunding platforms, and their project gets kicked to the side. It doesn't get any marketing thrown at it. People kind of laugh at it. It just goes to the bottom of the pile. And so what TruthFunders is, and what we're trying to do, is shine the spotlight on those projects, because those projects are amazing. I mean, every day I wake up and I wonder, what am I doing here? What's the purpose? What are we all doing here? Are there visitors? Is there really Bigfoot? These are questions that we have been trying to figure out for so long in our whole lives, and there's such a history behind it in all these different cultures, and that history and culture gets hidden by, just the everyday person who in the past would say we were tinfoil hat wearers, but it's slowly becoming more and more acceptable because shows like Ancient Aliens is number one on the History Channel. There are shows like about Bigfoot that are number two on Discovery Channel, or Animal Planet. Sorry. And so the paranormal is something that's growing and growing and becoming bigger and bigger. And TruthFunders really wants to help harness those powers and answer the questions. Anyone who's a go-getter, anyone that is an entrepreneur and really wants to create that next application that will help hunt ghosts or find aliens or search for UFOs or, share a story that happened to them as a personal abductee or spread the consciousness. They can do that at TruthFunders if they go to the site and want to check it out and see what they can get involved with. And then
also, I want to jump in here really quick and just remind any listeners out there, they can check out TruthFunders on social media as well by using Twitter or Facebook. I believe that's all.com/TruthFunders, yes?
Yes, we're at TruthFunders on Twitter, and we are TruthFunders on Facebook. So you can just search for us, you could like us, and we'll let you know about the latest project that's coming out. And there are new projects coming out all the time. And what's great is that it's big names and it's small names. It's people no one has ever heard of before, but they have great ideas and great marketing skills to get their project out there. It's people that people know about. I'm currently working with Jesse Marcel, and in fact, in the next 2 days, his project is going up on the website. And his grandfather was part of the original Roswell crash, and he has created models of the I-beam that was originally shown to his father by his grandfather, and he's going to be creating a certain amount of models and sharing them on TruthFunders, trying to fund a project there. So that's something to look forward to in the next 2 days. So there's people that everybody knows, like Jesse Marcel, and then there's the lesser known people who have just wonderful ideas and just are into it all, from ufology to ghosts, to psychic abilities, to metaphysical.
I'm looking here at the website right now at all the different projects that are listed, and there's ESP, there's Beatles conspiracies, as in the band, the rock group. There's rods that live in the skies. There's metaphysically based artwork. There's mysteries of the South Pacific, cryptozoology. There's all sorts of super content-driven and very specific paranormally based projects to check out. And the great thing about TruthFunders, and part of the reason why you started it, is as a result of paranormal type things getting lost in the sauce at Indiegogo or Kickstarter. It's impossible to really suss out the things that you, the listener, might be interested in, and especially for that kind of stuff. And it gives you an opportunity. You just have one place to go to help fund all of these types of things that honestly have difficulty getting major funding because of their superstitious or, black or whatever. A lot of people with money don't want to touch them.
Well, and so that's something about TruthFunders as well. So our website was designed to not scare people away. Generally when someone looks for a UFO online or aliens or something about ESP, they're going to wind up eventually, you'll go through the rabbit hole and you're like clicking on all sorts of different stories, and one takes you start off at the nice Huffington Post article, and it takes you down the rabbit hole to the Stranger article, and then that takes you down the rabbit hole to like the dark website with the weird looking aliens that freak you out that you're looking at on it, and you're like, ah. And sometimes people will keep going down the rabbit hole, and other times that might scare people and they'll go back up the rabbit hole. But with TruthFunders, we've developed it in a way so that normal people can feel comfortable looking at this and donating to a project. So you don't necessarily have to you wouldn't be afraid of going to this website. It's totally clean. We want to be like the Apple of the paranormal, and that's something that I think that we're going to be discussing on this radio show now. Art is not only the project. So the goal is that once a week we have one or two people on the show that are talking about their project, and people can go to the website and interact with the project. They could donate to the project. They could get to know more about what that person is doing. But the other part of this podcast is something really cool, which is the effect that technology is starting to have on the paranormal. Like, people could not make projects like this 15 years ago. There are so many UFO groups on Facebook now, and you can go on a Facebook, you could type in UFO and search, and you could join all these different UFO networks and UFO groups, and you could do the same thing on Twitter, and it's changing the way that we interact. And not only that, it's bringing in a younger crowd to something that I think a lot of people thought that ufology was dying out, and people the attendance was low at a lot of events, and things were starting to move that way. But now there's this resurgence happening, and the reason why the resurgence is happening is because people, young people, middle-aged people like myself, I'm 34 years old, we can go online and we can dig around and we can find the events that are actually happening around near us, and we can participate in that stuff. So there isn't a decrease happening. What we're seeing is an increase, and that's something that's really exciting and driven by technology. So I want to really discuss some of those topics on this show as well.
No, and this is a great way for people to get familiar with what's going on with TruthFunders each week, especially as the website grows. I really love the concept of doing a live weekly radio talk show that can be interactive, and we can have the people behind these projects on to tell their stories and what it is that inspired them to get involved with whatever project that they're doing. And really, the human element, the human stories behind every single thing like this is what's going to open up, the world of why people need to be donating to different things. And each week, hearing somebody talk about their project, it may sway you one way or the other. You may be looking at a TruthFunders project online that you're like, man, that's kind of cool. I'm interested in that. Oh, wow, they're going to interview this guy on the radio show coming up next week. I want to listen to it and see if this is something that's going to be worth my time or not. It gives an opportunity for people to come once a week and really get to know what's going on with TruthFunders and keep updated with the person behind it, which is you. I mean, it's great that the CEO of a website is willing to come on and talk about this stuff every week and be that hands-on and that involved, because I know that you're not sleeping a whole lot right now, and you got a lot of things going on. So that's an important aspect that I think really needs to be mentioned, because it's a labor of love, and the entire genesis of this website and this entire project and this undertaking came originally from that seed of passion and that seed of love. You did not start this to make money at all. I mean, anybody that gets into the paranormal, you know what I mean?
Exactly. And that's the thing too. I mean, IRN, they're broadcasting us right now. How cool is that? They are doing this out of their own passion as well. I mean, literally, they're one of those disruptors, right? They have created an application so you can listen to their shows on the go. You can download their app. You can listen to them and stream them online. You can interact in their in their chat rooms. It's at a point now where it's like that comes from a labor of love, and it's not necessarily making any money, but it's helping support other people that are trying to find the answers and discuss really cool, interesting topics. Now, you yourself, I think it's important for the audience to know a little bit about us too, because here we are, two people talking about TruthFunders and this website. But TruthFunders is more than just a website. I look at it as a place for anybody. Anybody could go there that really says, I want to make a difference. I want to make some money and create something in the paranormal. And this is the place where I can do it. And it'll be seen. It'll be heard. These guys will help us do it. But I also want to talk about sort of my love for the paranormal and your love for the paranormal and why we're here. Because we're not just these people and this website. We're also, doing this radio show. And so you should talk a little bit about yourself, Art, and maybe the audience might be interested in how we met. That would even be an interesting story for them.
That's my favorite thing to do, as you know, is talk about myself. Thanks, Mark.
It's not your favorite thing to do at all.
I hate talking about myself, but for the sake of maybe a bunch of people that have no idea who I am or why I'm hosting a radio show, I guess I can do that. My name, like I said before at the beginning of the show, is Art Webb, and by the way, you are listening to the TruthFunders radio show. Again, this is a trial by fire situation, so everything about this is kind of developing organically as we go.
Like Saturday Night Live.
Exactly. So the name TruthFunders Radio is working. It's a working title at the moment, and we're going to settle on something by the time this is all settled and locked in and ready to go. But I'm Art Webb, that's my name, and I come from 10 plus years now in talk radio programming and production, and I've worked on nationally syndicated live radio shows and then live radio talk shows, one of the most prominent named the Tom Likas Show for many years, and then from there I moved on to the digital realm as things were evolving and technologies were shifting, and I spent a couple years at a place called Podcast One, where I was the assistant director of programming and content development, and I started tons of shows, a lot of the most predominant podcasts out there right now. So I have a lot of experience in talk radio, and I know what it is that people want to hear and what's interesting and what's captivating. And I also am a huge Art Bell fan, going back to like when I was 11 years old and I first discovered him, and I used to lie to my parents about staying up late at night listening to Art, and I just captivated. I mean, I'm so proud that I even share the same first name with the guy. So what was your, if I can interrupt you for a second, scariest moment laying in bed as a kid listening to Art Bell? What was there a defining moment when you were laying there and you were like, what the heck is going on? No, actually, I've never really found myself in any state of kind of nervousness as a result of listening to the show. I'm sure if I really thought about it, there would be moments that came up where I can say that, man, I was spooked. Maybe some kind of ESP thing, listening to voices within electronics. That always kind of spooked me.
Oh, that scared the heck out of me. Whenever people do that on any show, whenever they do EVPs, I literally, if it's during the day, I'll listen to it. And then if it's at nighttime, I refuse to listen to it. Like, I can't do it, even if I'm sitting next to even if I'm sleeping next to my fiance, I'm afraid that she'll start looking at me and making weird noises or something. Like, the EVPs creep me out so much. But at the same time, in the morning, I will listen to that show. Like, I'm drawn to it. I need to hear what they were saying. And
Art is amazing. Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, no. Go ahead, my brother.
Well, I was just going to say that Art is a master broadcaster, and I used to always listen to Art Bell on two levels. One, as just a radio host and how good he was, or is, rather. He might come back, he might not. But also just my interest in the paranormal and cryptozoology and metaphysics and things like that. I have ghost experiences, tons of ghost experiences that I could talk about here on the air. You have so many more paranormal experiences than I do that it's nuts. I mean, we could spend 2 hours just talking about the last 5 years of your life, I'm sure. But I just have always been so drawn to and so captivated by the paranormal, by the unknown, I described it the other day as the thing that we cannot sense but know it's there. We can't see it, we can't taste it, we can't hear it, we can't smell it, we can't feel it, but God damn it, it's there, and I know it's there, and I interact with it on a daily basis. And I've just always been, especially since the internet, I've been obsessed with reading above top secret different conspiracy websites and things like that. So somewhere like TruthFunders is a dream come true for me, especially. And the fact that I'm involved with this with you is a huge honor. And you said a little bit ago that you wanted to mention about how we met and how we got involved. I had been working on a online radio kind of syndication company in an online new music format called New Normal Music. It was indie rock, indie pop, things like that. And we actually met through that. You were a listener of that. You sent me an email. You said, hey, we should work together. I'm in Silicon Valley and into technology and all these things. And we put a few different deals together over the years to work together, and all of them fell through. So It was kind of a disappointment. And then when you came to me with TruthFunders, I said, look at this. This is the thing.
I reached out to you. I was brokenhearted. The girl that I thought I was going to marry left. She left, and I was crushed. And so I could not listen to any music anymore. Like all the stuff that I had and been listening to, it had all been, those memories of her. So I started listening and started, being the person that I am, looking for things on the internet, always looking for the newest thing on the internet. I came across this music station, and so I was listening to it, and it had nothing to do with music that I was listening before. So it didn't remind me at all when I was at work and listening to music. About my ex-girlfriend. So I wrote Art a letter thanking him about that. This was new music I hadn't heard before, and it's really helped out. We wound up being in the same sort of space, but being in the completely different space at the same time. He was in radio, and I was in film and television at the time. And marketing. So then we came across, and when I was creating TruthFunders, I thought, man, it would be great if we had a radio show or if we had a podcast and we were able to bring on some of the people that are creating projects and have them talk about their projects, because they know more about their projects than we ever could, and really helped them get a leg up as far as marketing, for their own project and to get it out there, because these other big places, they don't do that. They don't make, podcasts for people to listen to and help their projects. They'll send an e-blast, and that's about it. So we wanted to really do something that made a difference and was a big karmatic project. And so I thought, who else could better help me come up with an idea for a radio show than Art? And so once again, I think people are sent to you for certain reasons at different points of your life. And that's what Art is. And he is here, and he has been, since we started doing, we did the podcast, and the podcast is on truthfunders.com. You can listen to a few episodes of it there before we came to IRN. But man, the dude's a professional, and right now we're on the fly, we're on the go. Like we literally said, "Hey, let's do a show." Yeah, 5 minutes before we went on, and so what you're hearing is what I think people want to hear: the behind the scenes stuff. Get to know us a little bit and what we're about, and from there we can move on to these awesome topics of the paranormal and the wonderful world that's out there of mystery and intrigue.
And I want to back up something you just said very quickly and state that everything absolutely 100% happens for a reason. And I do wholeheartedly believe that our interactions, our encounters, and our initial meeting and coming together was as a result of this, now what we're doing coming up in the few years down the line. I knew when I met you that we were already vibing on a wavelength together that I did not have with most other people that I met. You just got it in a certain way, and everyone listening knows, especially people that are into the paranormal and exploring what is outside of their comfort zone type things. That you either get it or you don't, and you got it in such a way that I knew that you were going to have an important impact on my life somehow, and I think that it both hit us over the head in such a way that we didn't really know what to do with it. And it did take a few years for something to come together, but thank God it was this and not like two of the other projects that we tried to put together, because those weren't ultimately for the power of good. And I really believe that what we're doing here is providing an amplification system to do good, to get things out into the world and to expose truths and to expose hypocrisies and things that have been covered up, and allow the community, the world community, the global community to come together and tell all of these people in power that are holding so much information back, hey, excuse my language, F off, and that really is, it's such an important element of this whole project for me to be able to contribute towards something like that. So
that's awesome. I mean, that's so great. And you're exactly right. The fact that I can be, Joe somebody in the middle of the country, and I have an idea, and it's a paranormal idea, and I can put it somewhere, and if it's a good idea and I believe in it, and I actually say, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it. I believe in myself. Everybody can do that. Everybody has the power to believe in themselves, and everybody has the power to create something. And TruthFunders is that place. If what you want to do is the paranormal, and this is the place to get involved and to make your dream a reality and to help uncover truths. A lot of people say, oh, I don't have the time to do the research. I think I could really figure out, what's going on with Bigfoot, but I just don't have the time or the money to do the research. Well, you know what? You have to invest that time. You have to, and you have to put it out there. You can have the best idea in the world, and if no one's there to hear it, then it's not going to make a difference. But if you have that idea and you put it out there and you scream to the world, hey, everyone, check out my idea. Check out what I'm doing. This is it. It's here. And you work at getting people to donate to it. You know what? You will have that time, because that money will come into your project, and you will have the resources in order to discover your dream, or whatever it might be, discover the answers to some of the questions that you have. I mean, the guys at IRN, they're doing this. This was a hobby of theirs, and now it's a radio station. Now it's a podcast that people listen to, that people download from the Apple iTunes store. This isn't out of your reach. If you're out there, you can do this. You can create a project. And if you love the paranormal as much as Art and I do, go to truthfunders.com. That's the place, and let us know what your project is, and let's do it.
By the way, my name, I want to just allow those who might have tuned in late to get comfortable with who we are. My name is Art Webb. This is TruthFunders Radio. I'm sitting here with Mark Schwartz, who was just speaking. He is the CEO of TruthFunders.com, which is a brand new website that is a crowdfunding-driven entity that is paranormal-based and solely focused on fringe type of projects. So.
Yeah, and to talk about some of those fringe projects too, I think it'd be cool for us to.
By the way, hold on.
Those.
I want to interrupt. I'm sorry. I want to interrupt you for 1 second.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the Inception Radio Network website here, and maybe MJ, if you're there, you can answer this question for me. Can I give out this phone number, this 888 number, and if anybody is interested in calling in and talking to us, they can do so, or no? I'll give it out anyway. 888-919-2355. Oh, there he is. Okay, cool. Yes. The answer is yes. Great. I would love to talk to anybody who's listening and see if anybody really even is all that interested in what we're talking about, or if they are learning about Truth Funders for the first time and get some responses to what's going on here. Maybe I suck. If you want to tell me that, you're more than welcome to do so. Everybody has an opinion. 888-919-2355 is the phone number to call into Inception Radio Network and get on the air with Mark and I, if you care to do so. Once again, 888-919-2355. And now we are going to talk about a couple of the projects that are currently on truthfunders.com. And we do have something to play here at some point, I believe, too, that is also based on one of these projects.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, so Space Boy, he is this incredible musician. Everyone has their own taste in music, and that's a given. His music is electronic, but he's a big fan. He loves the paranormal, and I first encountered him through Jimmy Church. He was a big fan, and he created the bumper music for the Jimmy Church show. So he... he's on Twitter a lot, and we were tweeting back and forth. I said, hey, man, you should do a project. You never know if it might be interesting. And he wrote me back. He said, oh, well, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything to do, but I love the idea, and I totally support your idea 100%. And then about a week and a half later, he wrote me back on Twitter, said, hey, I have an idea. And I said, bring it on. So he wanted to bring on create a song. He does electronic music. He wanted to create a song just for Truth Funders, based off of our logo, which is the dragonfly, which I can get into why the logo is the dragonfly in a minute.
We should tell that story. Yeah, let's actually make that the last thing that we do with this show this evening, but let's play the song before that.
All right, cool. So yeah, let's see. We basically got in touch with each other, and I said to him, "Hey, let's get something together." So he is like prolific. He has created, I don't know, I don't quote me, but I think it's 12 or 17 albums of his own music since he started many years ago. And if you go to his Truth Funders page, for $5 you get 2 musical downloads. You get one download of his song called Dragonfly, which is based off the Truth Funders logo, and then another Space Boy track off of any album that he has. And he has, you can donate to his project, $10, $20, $30, all the way up to $60. And I think $60 gets you something like 5 or 6 albums, plus the Dragonfly track and a track of your own. So it's pretty cool. And I don't have access currently to my Skype, but if you're there, MJ, we'd love to hear a sample of that song for maybe 20 seconds, just so the audience can hear it. That'd be great.
Fire it off, MJ. Space Boy. That's the Space Boy TruthFunders song. You can check out that project as well as many other campaigns right now at TruthFunders.com. My name is Art Webb. I'm here with Mark Schwartz.
And that's something I like to say is this song, when I first heard it, I was like, oh yeah, that's really good. It felt kind of inspirational. And then I heard it a few more times, and I went ahead and I supported Space Boy. I spent $10 of my own money, and I downloaded one of his albums. And his albums are like just so good, and this mixed in with it was great. It's something that I can go to sleep to, like at nighttime when I'm falling asleep. I put on Space Boy, and I'm like in this other world and just thinking and zoning out, and it's great for meditation. And I also listen to it when I wake up in the morning and get ready, because it's kind of like, yeah, my day is going to be good. So yeah, that's sort of a sample of it, of Space Boy's project. And that's an example of being creative. Like you want to create something and be part of the paranormal. He's Space Boy and he's making music. You don't necessarily have to create a project to go search in the pyramids of ancient Egypt and look underneath the Sphinx's, leg in order to create a project here. You could create something that's artistic and musical like that. But it supports the paranormal genre and paranormal world.
I would love actually to throw out this phone number one more time and ask people to call in with projects that may have come up with that they would like to see themselves getting involved with or executing that they have not been able to secure the funds for, secure the time for, not really necessarily any type of avenues to even begin to start something like that. If you have an idea for a project that you think you would love to see up on truthfunders.com and get going, please call 888-919-2355. Once again, 888-919-2355 is the telephone number.
In order to...
Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Hello?
Hi, you're live.
Hi, I'm live.
You are.
Am I on the air? Oh my
you
God.
are. I didn't even know you were coming on. Nobody said they were coming on. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Well, my name is Carol, and I'm calling from Claremont.
Hi, Carolyn.
Claremont,
Hello.
California?
Yes, Claremont, California. Virtually a stone's throw from the famous Claremont colleges.
I grew up in Riverside, California, very close to where you are, and I currently am broadcasting from Pasadena. Mark's nowhere near us. Don't listen to him.
I'm in Northern California. I'm in the Silicon Valley, far, far away from LA. We have the rivalry going on.
Hey, indeed we do. Yes, indeed. Well, but we all have the same weather that doesn't have snow several feet,
No.
yes?
Absolutely, but we have the same broken state. We have the same broken economy.
Right, exactly. Oh, well, wait till we get that incredible high-speed train. But on another realm, I read the UFO headline news here at Inception Radio Network.
Okay, great. Well, thanks so much for calling in and saying hi to us and all that.
Well, yes, and I'm calling in to say, hey, go, guys, because this is a great addition. You sound fantastic, and I love your content.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Carolyn. I appreciate that and you listening, and we look forward to having you more on the show and being involved more with Inception Radio.
I have a question.
Yes.
Because I listen to, I'm a big fan of Inception Radio, and so I feel honored to even, be on Inception Radio. It's a very cool thing. And I hear you do your UFO report. And it's really exciting. Where do you get your UFO reports from? Do you grab them from all over the place, or is it just one specific location?
Well, I spend a lot of time grabbing and sleuthing and various websites. And then, of course, as in the Jackhead, Manitoba, Canada, interesting thing that's going on up there, which could be Canada's Roswell, but I'm not saying. I just read it.
I don't pulling it out of the lake, and I've been keeping up with that. Yeah.
Right, exactly. It's apparently Lake Winnipeg, and I don't know. I mean, I don't want to be part of the rumor machine, but apparently it may not be exactly as we're being told it is, and which could be very interesting. So stay tuned. But no, I just grab from various sources, and it's part of my job.
What do you think about this? Very quickly, Mark, I'm sorry. What do you think about this Obama's, I think it was a chief of staff or something like that recently stepped down to go work on Hillary's campaign.
Yes, John Podesta. Right, John Podesta. Right, I covered that. It's very interesting because it's so... I'm really in flux about this because apparently in some of what he said in his later remarks upon, retiring or leaving this position to then work for Hillary, he said something about how his biggest regret in his position was that he did not somehow gather enough fuel behind him, underneath him, whatever, to push disclosure to the American public. Now, it's real interesting because some sources that you would think would not be disinformation sources and supportive of the UFO Disclosure Project, some sources said, well, he was joking when he said that. So, I don't know. It's a great, big, confusing thing.
If anything, more people are talking about it, so it's just more fuel to the fire.
Exactly. It brings it to the forefront and brings it a little more to mainstream, and that's, all we can do inch by inch, step by step.
Well, and that's what we're hoping to do with TruthFunders as well. And Mark, I'm sorry I interrupted you. You were about to say something.
No. Are you kidding? I love listening to you guys talk. It's fantastic. My other question that I had for you is, is there a project out there, some sort of ufology project that you've always wanted to see research happen, that you feel the research is there if there was just the money and the capital and the time to do it? Is there any case in particular that you would love to learn more about?
Well, I'm conflicted on that because as much as I say Roswell, I also say it's very interesting that Kecksburg was a situation where apparently there was not the immediate, shall we say, official response to it. And so, in other words, the populace were more involved in what they saw. And there were a lot of reports that were, I suppose they would be called unsubstantiated, but from the locals, and things they saw and things they heard. And then, of course, there's the rumor machine. But in other words, the military apparently did not get the clamp down, if you will, on Kecksburg in the same time frame they did at Roswell.
Right.
So to me, that maintains as, I'm not going to say Roswell's not legitimate, but Kecksburg is really interesting to me. So I would say, I guess I would say the Kecksburg incident.
There's so many out there, yeah.
I'm writing that down as we speak.
Go for it.
Because you never know. I'm keeping a little list of things that people want to see and things that people want to know about, because I think TruthFunders is going to do something along the lines of put out quizzes or something along those lines, because there's people out there that do have these answers and are listening and do want to create projects around this.
Right.
And so I think that's great.
Something just grassroots crossed my mind. This is like right off the top of my head. And that is like people in malls with clipboards. I mean, absolutely, boots on the ground saying like, okay, like Kecksburg, like, did you or your grandmother, see anything around in this area, and do you want to talk about it?
Absolutely. The creating something like that, a project where people join, and it's not even necessarily to do a donation, but people join a group in order to go and ask those questions and find some of the information for themselves. I think that is a phenomenal idea. Grassroots is where it starts, and the power of the internet and social media and technology too, that it has sort of a grassroots feel to it. At the same time, it's really funny how if something bad happens and enough people get, a big corporation gets angry tweets coming their way, or enough tweets or Facebook messages coming their way, they'll go and run tail. So, organizing something along those lines too would be
right. And I'm just thinking that very ancient meme of good news travels fast, but bad news travels faster. And I suppose we could take out the bad and put in controversial news travels faster.
Absolutely.
You can listen to UFO Headline News here on Inception. It's 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, airing at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific with you, Carol, correct?
Yes, indeed. That would be I.
Awesome. UFO headline news. Thank you so much for calling in. We're almost out of time, so I want to get on to a couple more things, but hopefully we can have you back on the show again at some point.
Absolutely. And thank you, guys. And I really appreciate all your efforts.
Yeah,
awesome. Thank you so much, Carol.
Thanks for the call.
You're welcome.
This is TruthFunders Radio. My name is Art Webb. I'm here with Mark Schwartz, the creator of TruthFunders.com. This is a brand new show that you should be able to hear weekly here on the Inception Radio Network starting very soon. Again, this is a kind of a trial by fire type of evening that we're doing this live broadcast, but hopefully we will have much more to announce coming up soon. We only have about, I think, 5 minutes or so left, and I want to have you, like I said a few minutes ago, Mark, explain the dragonfly logo behind TruthFunders and why you chose a dragonfly to be the emblem and the symbolic representation of what TruthFunders is.
Absolutely. So I'll start there, and then a couple things to end up with as well, just a couple of links to send people to so they can check out some of these cool projects. But the dragonfly, okay, when I first came up with the idea of TruthFunders, my background it's in television and technology. And in 2010, I was nominated for an primetime interactive media Emmy for an interactive application I did that mixed video with social media, and for a television show on Fox, Glee. It's not my favorite show in the world out there, I'm the first to say, by any means, but it was work, and I created this really cool application with the help of my team, and so yeah, it was nominated for that and kept pursuing that. Started working for, creating shows on Amazon, creating shows for Hulu, doing a lot of production work and interactive technology work. And in the back of my mind, while I was doing that, I was always listening to new, interesting paranormal podcasts. So when I came up with this idea, I was listening to so many podcasts, paranormal podcasts a day. People would call up and the guests on the show would say, "Oh, we would love to do that, but we just don't have the money." Or, "We're trying to raise the money. We're doing a Kickstarter campaign, so if you could please donate." And literally one day I heard it 6 times in a row on different podcasts and different radio shows, and I said, it would be a wonderful idea. It would just be so cool to go ahead and create something so different. And I was also talking to Jimmy Church at the time, and he had brought up the Malibu base, and I told him that it would be a great idea to crowdfund that Malibu base, and so all this was going on, and it was going on in my head, and finally I said out loud, "You know what? I'm going to do this." So I called up someone who I had worked with in the past, and he was the one of the VPs of AOL Time Warner back in the day during the big merger, and I said to him, I have this idea for, it's like a Kickstarter, if you will. It's a crowdfunding campaign, but it's specifically for the paranormal. And, it took him a while, and he said, "Let me call you back." And I thought, that's it. He's going to think I'm crazy. He's going to think I'm totally nuts.
Well, you are crazy. Let's be honest.
Thank you. I take that as a compliment.
I'm just as nuts as you
are. Yeah, you totally are. So literally within half an hour, I got a call back, and I heard on the other line, "Yes, I would love to do that." And I said, "Are you serious? You're on to this idea?" And he said when he worked at AOL, the number one thing that people clicked on more than anything else, more than news, top headlines, anything, was horoscopes. That was by millions. People clicked on horoscopes. So he knew that there was this genre of people out there that like the paranormal, that are interested in it. Would they be willing to donate? Would they be willing to create projects? He didn't know, but I was really into it, and I convinced him, and we went into business together. So our first business meeting, we're sitting down, we're in a coffee shop, I'm showing him a business plan of how it all works, and how much money things are going to cost, and a breakdown of some of the higher shows in the paranormal genre and the who's who. And it's literally like a grid that I've created, and it's on my computer screen. So he gets up to go to the bathroom. He says, "I'll be right back." He gets up to go to the bathroom. And moments after he gets up to go to the bathroom, a dragonfly flies into this coffee shop. Now, it's not an outside coffee shop. There's not like windows and doors just open to the outside world. It's like we're in a closed-doored coffee shop. But this dragonfly comes out of nowhere. It sits or hovers directly above the seat of my business partner, staring at my computer screen. And I thought to myself, you have got to be kidding. And the first thing, being me, the first thing that comes to my head is, oh, I wonder if it's a drone, if it's spying on us. And I thought about it. I'm like, no, it can't be. That's ridiculous, Mark. You're being ridiculous. But it was just this moment in time, and it stayed there for like 30 seconds, 45 seconds, staring at my screen, and boom, it was gone. And I looked at it as a very symbolic sort of way. The dragonfly means a lot in a lot of different cultures. The colors of it represent a lot of different people and things, like the indigo children. I mean, I could go on and on about the dragonfly. Was it a drone looking at my computer screen? I don't think so, but you never know. I like to remain skeptical on things like that. But it was just really cool, and it stuck with me. And so when it came time for our logo, I said, I already have it in mind. It's the dragonfly, because that thing's been following me, since day one of really sitting down and conceptualizing the project and getting it moving.
Again, this is TruthFunders Radio. My name is Art Webb. I am your host. I'm sitting here with Mark Schwartz. He is the CEO of TruthFunders.com. We are out of time for this particular edition of the program, but I cannot state how excited I am to be involved with Inception Radio, to be involved with Mark. I want to thank MJ. I want to thank Joe. I want to thank Mark again for coming on and doing this with me. And before we lock out here, obviously, Mark, why don't you share some links and some places people can go to learn more about Truth Funders?
Yeah, well, definitely. Thank you so much, and thank you so much, all the people at Inception. You guys are amazing. The callers, thank you for calling in. We want to make this an exciting show where we talk about, everything and anything, and the coolest, bleeding edge projects of the paranormal. So you can visit us at www.truthfunders.com. We would love for you to donate to some of the projects that are on there. There's stuff about ESP, UFOs, you name it, it's on there. If it's not on there yet and you have an idea, go ahead and hit the create button and let us know about your idea, and we'll go ahead and get you set up, and you can start. If you fund a project, people will let you know of how the project is going. Your project, your $5 or your $10 or your $100 or whatever you donate goes to a great place, and you definitely get something in return. We're going to have some really amazing stuff from Jesse Marcel in the next 2 or 3 days, so just keep looking out and watching. We have new projects all the time. Follow us at Truth Funders on Twitter, and go ahead and like us on Truth Funders on Facebook, and we'll be releasing projects, on all the social media spaces as well.
And don't forget, you can also follow Truth Funders on Instagram as well at Truth Funders. My name is Art Webb. Mark Schwartz, thanks for joining me. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do so by following at Arthur H. Webb, ArthurHWebb. Mark, I don't think you're giving out anything personal, right?
No, okay. All Truth Funders, baby.
All Truth Funders. Everything else, Truth Funders is the real thing, but if you want to follow me, you can do that as well. Joe, MJ, Inception Radio, thank you so much. Carol, thank you so much for calling in. It is I'm eagerly anticipating just diving in headfirst with this show and getting to know every single person that listens, specifically you listening right now. You're the one. I want to hear from you next week. And just please visit Truth Funders, check it out, and thank you.
And they can email you too, right, Art?
Yes. The email address is I believe it's podcast at truthfunders.com for the time being, but we should change that probably at some point to reflect the live radio show. And again, doing a live radio show is so much more rewarding for me personally than doing a weekly podcast that is recorded and then accessed after the fact. Having come from a background of live radio and actually making it an interactive community experience is so much more just exciting for me. Than a podcast is fun, I guess, really, but you don't get that interaction. You don't get that back and forth and that live kind of spur of the moment, anything can happen mentality. And that's what I really love about what Inception Radio is doing. And again, can't thank them enough. We are super out of time here. I'm already running over. Mark, thank you so much. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. We will be back very soon on Inception Radio Network. My name is Art Webb. This is Truth Funders Radio. Thanks for listening.
This is Truth Funders Network Podcast.